What's up?
What's up? Sorry, I cut you off.
You're
Early.
fine. You're fine.
Again,
You're good?
like every episode.
Okay.
All right, cool. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Been better. I'm still tired.
We've been off the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
Holiday season's pretty busy.
a little bit.
A little bit?
Just a bit. Getting back into the groove. Totally not panicking.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you not panicking? I'm not panicking.
No, I'm not. I'm fine. I'm just chilling. You know, just straight chilling, straight vibing,
All right, cool. So,
straight vibing with my proletariat homies. So, John mentioned to me earlier that or just a moment ago, wanted to start this episode off jumping into some video game history, something we haven't discussed in a while here.
Yeah, so you do know that I love listening to like lost episodes or like lost content.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking at like betas and stuff.
Betas and like stuff that we never got to see, or
Absolutely.
people remember seeing it, but somehow it does not exist on the internet.
Now talking about like Mandela effect situation things too,
Yeah,
huh?
but except this one actually is real.
Mm-hmm.
Back around where back when the DS first came out, you know, the 3DS.
The 3DS. They meant the original DS.
Well, yeah, the DS Lite and all that.
Okay.
It's
Early generations. 06 days.
Yeah, around 06, around 2010.
Oh, okay.
A small restaurant chain named McDonald's, Japan.
Oh no. I know where this is going. No, damn it.
McDonald's Japan actually in-house created a game, well, quote unquote training
I'll
simulator.
say it was basically training for McDonald's employees
basically
by
cutting,
Nintendo.
Yeah, it was basically to cut training hours from 4 hours to 45 minutes.
Let's see what we can find on this in terms of what we can Google. Let's see, Nintendo Nintendo McDonald's game.
Yeah, because recently, since there's a guy named Nick Robinson on YouTube.
There's multiple McDonald's games. Of course, there's like the NES one. Let's see.
No, it's the
DS.
The DS training.
Yes.
This guy named Nick Robinson on YouTube.
I would say that the 10-year hunt for the lost McDonald's DS game.
He finally found that copy.
We can put a link in the description for that.
Yeah, of course. It's a very it's a long historical.
What's this on eBay? Nintendo DSi McDonald's limited edition console extreme. It's a DSi with a McDonald's logo on it.
Yeah, that's
black.
That's the one.
Damn.
But the guy has two.
Employee edition.
There's employee edition. There's the manager edition.
Yeah, it even has a trademark on it, or of the McDonald's logo and everything. $500 on eBay.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So essentially, this whole thing, basically copies were limited.
Mm-hmm.
Collectors grab them and make them disappear.
Right.
And when they were asked nicely by the community to release it, they said, no, it's mine.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin the value. This guy was kind enough to say, hey, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to take the hit and release it. Nick Robinson finally did it. He found the lost game.
Yeah.
It was, like it says, it's a 10-year hunt.
He posted this just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Because for a while, the channel I was watching, Blame It on George.
Yeah.
They were talking about it. They're like saying, basically, he has a series called Case Files, explaining where we're at in the world where certain items are found, lost, partially found.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, it was confirmed that this game was lost permanently.
Yeah. Well, they tried to bury it, basically.
It was lost permanently because originally there was a Japanese auction for the game, and someone bought it.
Yeah.
Last minute, disappeared.
So this was around the time of the DSi. So you said 2010. Sounds about right.
Roughly around
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, as we mentioned, 10-year hunt. There's a video here from Bloomberg Quick Take from 2012.
Yeah.
McDonald's Japan teaches burger making with Nintendo DS. This is from Bloomberg.
Yeah, that's the only video. Originally, that was the only gameplay anyone ever saw.
I say this is just like a 3-minute video.
Just a couple minutes saying, hey, this is what's gonna look like. This is what they do. The manager and employees sit down face to face and they walk it through.
Yeah, this is insane. Virtual burgers.
Virtual burgers. It shows you how to shake the fries properly.
What?
How to add in the right seasoning. What tools to pull out for the McDonald's sauce.
This is a 3-minute video. I'm just gonna get ahead here, showing building the burgers in house. Yep, there's the same DSI.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's McDonald's Japan.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You mean it's the holy McDonald's in Japan.
Yeah, and they're doing the training. They're showing a little bit of on-camera gameplay.
Meanwhile, like the news,
yeah, it like simulates the kitchen.
Yeah, the news anchors are like making fun of it.
Oh my god, look at the freaking. I don't know, like just it's kind of funny seeing how styles have changed in the last 10 years. So just like looking at the restaurant and like the uniforms and stuff, it just kind of.
No one wears that anymore.
It's kind of funny, honestly.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, this is the future. Meanwhile, we got like 3D eyes. Fucking the Switch already.
Yeah, it's showing you like the order of how they build the burgers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, McDonald's builds the burgers upside down.
Yeah.
In the restaurant. I've never worked in a McDonald's, but I mean that's just how they shut up. I don't have a problem. You have a problem.
Wait a minute. Have you been going to McDonald's?
I didn't have a Big Mac last night. It was the first Big Mac I had in the last 4 months. Something like that.
4 months?
I don't count.
It's been 3 years.
Listen, 3 years. I'll go, look at you, pal. We're in the gym after this. No, but this is pretty funny.
We're doing suicides next.
Yeah, but I find so interesting how Nintendo
approved it.
Well, approved it and then immediately, or not immediately, but shortly after, decided to just try to bury it.
Well,
it's pretty interesting, and I mean, this isn't the first time that Nintendo has done this to
here's the thing.
To a game, let alone a what is essentially a marketing tactic. Using their game to train that's basically like that's a business collaboration between Nintendo and McDonald's.
Well, because how you see let's say you go to a public place now, you're gonna see a lot of tablets, and most of them are gonna be Apple.
Oh, absolutely.
So back then. Yeah. They're like, hey.
Back in 2010, like tablets were just new, and and Android tablets were still being bought.
Yeah, so back then they're saying, hey, we need something that's quick, interactive.
Yeah.
Something small that we can give to the restaurants. It's not going to cost us $1,000.
Oh, I'm sure it didn't cost so much of anything. The most expensive thing would have probably been making the DSIs, which they were making anyway, and they were selling like hotcakes back then.
Yeah, so McDonald's like, hey, we just want a couple units for Japan. They just threw a couple bucks. Nintendo's like, why not? They're going to buy it up. Because originally this was going to be a starter like program. Like, hey, if this works out in Japan, maybe we can spread out to the rest of the world.
I was to say, this didn't get past Japan. Did it? It was only a McDonald's in Japan.
Yeah, so that's why it became rare.
Yeah, so it makes it extremely rare because it would have only been in a few select locations and not really released any further.
I believe if I read correctly, it was only like 50 locations in Japan.
That sounds about. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they must have developed however many, say, a couple hundred units of the game and the DSI, and then probably didn't get any further past that. Which, in the context of Nintendo, a company that's notorious for selling thousands upon millions of units of consoles and games alike, that really puts in perspective how extremely rare this is and how shortly lived it was.
Like I said, for a while, it was confirmed that the game was lost because someone bought it. No one knew where it went. The collector never spoke out until this video came out for saying 10 years later the hunt is over. This guy was the mysterious buyer.
Wow.
He said the reason why it took him so long to actually announce that he bought it was because he had to get it out of Japan.
Yeah.
No mail is going in or out from Japan as of right now due to the world pandemic.
I've only seen that one unit on eBay, but
he paid about $3,000.
$3,000 for the game, or
$3,000 for the game and 2 DS. he didn't even know that he was gonna get a second.
Oh, 2DSs.
Yeah.
He got 2DSIs.
Yeah,
Wow.
basically he has one for the manager and one for the employee.
Yeah.
Plus, someone did own the game for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Issue is you need a special code to break into the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's an employee. Basically, it's a store code. So for a while, people did own the game. They couldn't figure out how to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So for a while, it took them forever to just jailbreak the game, essentially.
Yeah. So there's this other this other article from CBS News from 2010 about this very subject. So this was still when it was relevant, when they were still putting it out. Why McDonald's shouldn't use Nintendo to train staff. So this is commentary back from I guess when the game was actually released, and I guess still relevant in the news before it became what is essentially now a lost relic after 10 years. Yeah, it's a great headline. McDonald's uses Nintendo to train staff, but don't be fooled. The real story is more fad than future. Obviously, now I guess CBS News was right, or whoever wrote this was definitely right. So, oh wow, okay. So this really gets more into like the numbers and commentary of it back when this was still underway. McDonald's Japan developed a $2.2 million dollar DS quote unquote game called eSmart that is designed to quote cut training time by half. So $2.2 million was invested into this. That's a lot for 50 McDonald's locations.
Roughly. Don't get me...
I mean, though it still be, with 50 locations, it's still probably, well over 100 units of the game and the DS alike.
Don't fully, quote me on the amount of games he probably made, but
sure.
Also remember, just because it's a small quantity doesn't mean you can't reuse it.
Oh, of course.
So,
yeah,
you can reuse it, retrain people, and you get your value out of it.
But obviously that wasn't the case, and so that was $2.2 million basically down the drain.
Yeah, because...
That's crazy.
Japan's the only one... I'm going to say this in a nice way. Japan's the only one that's willing to try anything.
I mean, it is a very experimental idea that we wouldn't see here in the Western... in the Western part of the industry. No one's gonna see EA trying to pull this off, or like Microsoft trying to do something like this with, say, like the Yum Corporation with like Taco Bell or something. That's not likely going to happen. But it is interesting how that willingness to experiment, and I mean, I can definitely see the potential in it. A big corporation like McDonald's wanting to collaborate with Nintendo. It wasn't the first time they collaborated, and it wasn't the first time they collaborated with big brands. I mean, McDonald's is also notorious for, say, collaborating with like big names like Nike and Michael Jordan in the past.
Bad Bunny.
Huh? Oh yeah, and now recently Travis Scott and J Balvin. This isn't anything new. It's just different and kind of a bigger investment than just a different menu item, or a commercial. Essentially it's a commercial, but it's between companies and for training. So I can see why it's a bad investment, but not anything out of the ordinary, I guess, for McDonald's, I would say. I would say it's out of the ordinary for Nintendo, which historically I would say is more of a privately organizing company, and the fact that Nintendo's kind of followed the same formula for a long time. I mean, it works. People are going to keep buying Pokemon games and Mario games, and no one really ever cares what's new about them. In fact, the remakes sell more than the
original. Yeah,
like Nintendo makes their billions off of selling the same thing over and over again. They're like Jordan Brand, or like McDonald's. But sell the same thing over and over again.
People are gonna argue, "Oh, Chris, you're not saying that about the recent Mario's All Stars 3D."
I mean, I'm still getting it.
I'll get it.
I'm part of the problem, and in fact, I don't know if it is a problem, because I'm definitely not someone that's against remastering.
Well, it's not a remaster. No.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why. The first couple of days the game came out, Super Mario Sunshine. Mm-hmm. There are some glitches that don't show up unless you're playing a certain program. They basically re-emulated the game.
But what's the difference in terms of a player experience?
Well,
what's the difference between a re-emulation and a remaster? You're playing the same game.
I'm not saying anything fully negative. I'm just saying I'm pointing it out.
I don't even think it's negative.
No,
honestly,
I'm just pointing out. Hey, remember you're playing something emulated back from another console that was also pretty good.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, you can't. Okay, I guess a remaster in the in the definition of the term, it's more of a taking the same thing on the same platform and just making it cleaner. And this isn't exactly that, but in terms of a player experience, it's the same game.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's a reason why it sells. It's the nostalgia of it, the fact that these games haven't been released since their initial consoles, especially Mario Sunshine. A remaster that people have wanted for a long time, with Nintendo being a company that's known for putting out remasters. I don't think that's a problem.
Of course,
because it's the same. It's just taking what was praised back then and what was really good and making it more available to the public now. Because getting Mario All-Stars is easier than getting Mario Sunshine, an original copy, and getting a GameCube and playing it. It's way easier to get a Switch and get Mario All-Stars and play the same game. And now that it looks better, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why, like, it's like when you I'm trying to apply this to cars or like some kind of other situation. Like it's like
well, because
the value varies between the original and the retro.
Best way I can describe it: Demon's Souls.
Okay.
Original Demon's Souls came out for the PS3.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying that's what kicked off the Soul series.
Yeah.
A lot of people try to get the original copy. It's really not there. A
Yeah.
lot of people love it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they announced the remake, which just came out for the PS5.
Yeah.
It's a completely brand new game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people to be honest, they're not upset. They're saying it's Demon's Souls again.
Yeah.
It's just a brand new engine, updated and slightly.
No.
It feels more like the recent games now.
It is a different experience, and that it's fresher and cleaner.
Right.
It's like, I guess if you were to apply it to cars, it's like when you get like a vintage Challenger versus the new one. They're both good driving experience, and they're both muscle cars under the same name, but one is an original and one is a new take on the original. Or like with or I can apply this perfectly when it comes to sneakers, like Jordans, for example. Like you can buy, say, like a 1985 or 1996 release of a shoe, and if it's, say, like a Jordan 1, you can still wear it, but it's not going to be the same materials, not the same cut as a re-release that would come out in the last few years, for example.
Right.
How do we get here from McDonald's? I was still reading. I still have this article on screen. I have.
Where am I? Where am I? Who are you?
So I guess my point is that, like, there's nothing wrong with remakes, and Nintendo sees that, right? I'm trying to circle this back to McDonald's. Because a Big Mac is a Big Mac regardless. Actually, I don't know if it's probably not the same. No, actually, no, it's not. We can apply this. It's just like when they changed the fries, right? Because back in the 90s and before, McDonald's fries were fried in beef tallow, and now they use vegetable oil. So they don't really taste the same, but it's still the same cut McDonald's fries, and it's still the same McDonald's. It's a remaster McDonald's fries, right?
Listen, I'm gonna let you hear right now. Everyone who's listening, the moment McDonald's,
I don't think anyone knows if I'm talking about food, video games, or just like industry standards anymore.
If you're listening to this in order, you're gonna say, "What the fuck is wrong with these people?" every other week.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but all I'm saying is,
I think we're kind of going more into like the philosophy of remastering now.
Yeah, all I'm asking is, McDonald's, just bring back the Grand Mac, and then I'll go and buy one.
No.
Again.
See what they have to do, because they did a collaboration with Travis Scott. They did a collaboration with J Balvin and they used to do commercials with Michael Jordan. So here's what they have to do. Now, let me get to it first. They bring back the Grand Mac with the collaboration with Shaq and call it the Big Shack. Come on.
Fuck you. That was my joke.
Exactly. See, I wasn't gonna let you steal from me, bitch.
You stole from me.
Well,
you stole from me and then resold it to me.
I play the steal meme card, spell card.
All I'm asking is,
and I floop the pig.
I want the Little Mac and call it the Oliver Tree.
What?
Oliver Tree?
With what?
The Little Mac.
Oh, the Little Mac.
Yeah, because when...
Oh, yeah, when they had the three of them, the Little Mac, the Big Mac, and the Grand Mac.
Yep.
So they do a collaboration with Oliver Tree. I don't know. I feel like if they...
Because Oliver Tree, I feel like he wears oversized clothes.
He does. Well,
just to look small.
Well, no. It's not just that. Because, see, Oliver Tree's whole thing is like the 90s aesthetic.
Right.
Circling back to the whole remastering and, like, you know, retroing things.
I'm just hungry, man.
Do we have to get Big Macs after this? Is that what's happening?
I think we're going to have to.
After the gym?
I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm getting one.
You want to get a Happy Meal then? Anyway. Actually, that would make sense, though. I feel like if Oliver Tree was to have a collaboration with McDonald's, it would be a retro of something. And maybe it could be a Happy Meal, because like his whole thing is like 90s nostalgia.
An Oliver meal?
An Oliver meal.
Or tree meal?
A tree meal. Yeah. And they can have like toys. I feel like, why didn't they do that with Travis Scott? Travis Scott already has toys. Well, no. He had his collaboration with Fortnite, and he had.
That's why.
Oh.
Why muddy up the market?
I don't know.
Well, remember,
he probably the option to.
All right. Before we go any further, Travis Scott.
We're just like diving more into like the whole like why do we like and have collaborations
with McDonald's
and remastering
with McDonald's.
Well, we kind of got into because the whole thing about like McDonald's and Nintendo. McDonald's is a company that's notorious for brand collaboration.
Is Disney really the bad guy at this point?
Well, Disney is more of like a hungry animal, just swallowing other companies.
All I'm asking
McDonald's is more of like the company that wants to be friends with everybody. Same thing with Lego.
Why haven't they partnered fully with? Well, they have.
I feel like McDonald's and like
Disney.
No, not Disney. Disney isn't really like a collaboration brand. Disney really is a bigger brand that just has a lot of subsidiaries now. Whereas McDonald's is a company that is big enough to collaborate with, to afford to collaborate with other companies, but doesn't have the interest to buy their companies. Because because I mean, if you're a restaurant, why do you want to buy another restaurant chain? That's a whole other undertaking to take up. Like no.
Ask Burger King what they bought.
Oh, Burger King is dying, mate.
Guess who they bought?
Who?
Well, a couple years back, they bought out Tim Hortons.
I guess, yeah, okay.
And then from there, all the Canadians it's not like what the memes are.
It's not the same.
You know what the memes
Tim
about? Tim
Hortons is pretty great too.
You know how Tim Hortons was a meme?
I wish. Well, yeah, I remember it was a meme. It kind of still is, but it's not the same.
But no, they're like, yeah, it's not like the meme. It's actually the shitty version now.
Oh wow, that's sad.
Yeah, essentially they.
I've had Tim Hortons in years.
I never had it, so I'm never gonna have it now.
I would still try it.
I'll still try it, but if they're still around.
It'll probably still be. I'm sure it'll still be around. It's just that you have to go up north to get it. Yeah, typically have to be in Canada. Otherwise, you have to be in like. I'm trying to think of where there even are some in the United States. Pretty much all like really northeast, like around say like
I think there's
like upstate New York, New England area. I want to say there's a few, or like really north Midwest areas like Michigan and Minnesota.
I
went when I went to Toronto years ago, like back in middle school, and I remember liking it. I mean, to be fair, I was like 13 when I had it, but relatively speaking, it was just better quality Dunkin' Donuts in terms of the coffee and the donuts. It was like if Krispy Kreme served food. I would compare it to that. If Krispy Kreme served food and coffees, it's kind of like that. Aside from just donuts, like freshly baked donuts. And a lot of different types of donuts. But anyway, we're just talking about fast food now. This started with video game history, and then we started talking about just like business strategies, corporate business strategies, which I kind of want to circle back to because we're talking about McDonald's. Because, okay, so listen, okay? Right? So McDonald's, yeah, brand that is notorious for their big collaborations because they are a company that has been around for a long time. They are a multi-billion-dollar company that has a very large stake in their industries as a fast food brand, and they have followed similar to Nintendo. They have followed a formula that has worked for decades.
They're Diamond Doves and whore.
Wow. Okay.
That's the best way I can describe.
I don't know. I don't personally have anything against McDonald's. It's just kind of they just kind of do what they do, and they've been doing the same thing forever.
That's the point.
So does Nintendo, and people like it, and people buy it every day, and they just do what works. You know, they don't need to change. But when they do, it's limited, and that's also something interesting. So like these whole like collaborations, and I guess this also buys into the value of these like rare Nintendo DSs and games. Isn't just like the fact that like, I mean, it's rare mostly because Nintendo tried to bury it. Just like how it's rare to like find like a Philips CDI in games.
Oh Jesus!
Right? No, it's kind of similar.
No. I get what you're saying.
It's a very similar case, right? That it was a collaboration with a company that Nintendo would likely not collaborate. Well, actually, no. Nintendo has collaborated with McDonald's multiple times.
Right.
This is just a very specific case that they don't want people to remember. Just like how they don't want people to remember the Philips CDI back in the 90s.
Yeah.
No one wants to remember that except for the memes.
I believe the whole reason why this game specifically was also hunted down is because a lot of people love documenting history.
Oh, of course.
Both
it's
games.
It's a very interesting topic.
This one specifically is
hell, we're still talking about it right now when we're already like more than 30 minutes in.
Anyways, speaking about collaboration and
Well, hold on. I have one point to finish here about like collaboration. Because this is like a really big thing that I feel like is very common now. We see it a lot with people and brands like Kanye and Travis Scott and J Balvin. You know, they both have had collaborations with McDonald's and shoe brands like Nike and Jordan. You know, Kanye, big thing with Adidas and the Yeezys. No, I'm going somewhere with this.
Who's this? Kanye.
Anyway, so these big brands like McDonald's and Nike and Nintendo and so forth, it's become really common to have these very limited collaborations, right? We're seeing a lot more of it. You know, Cactus Jack, fucking Quarter Pounder selling out, and Travis Scott Jordan selling out, and in fact, there was even one of these very recent collabs. And here's the thing: so these are getting bigger and more common, right?
Right.
There was a very recent and extremely limited collaboration between Travis Scott, Nike, and Sony.
Yeah, I heard.
PlayStation. The PlayStation Travis Scott Dunks.
Yeah, I've heard
they
of
made
these.
a very limited batch of these shoes. In family sizes too. So like say like size, it was like size 6 all the way up to like 14, let's say. And it was all released in a raffle. There was no official public release of these shoes, and this is a collaboration between technically 3 brands as opposed to 2. And like these big brand collaborations are becoming a lot more common, I feel like, because well, for one because of hype culture. I feel like we see that a lot with like brands like Supreme and Off-White, these really big hype brands, like how Supreme has done collaborations with they've done collaborations with Nike, with Vans. They've done collaborations with they had the Oreos, right? Just like how Travis Scott's also collaborated with Reese's and Hershey.
Now I think of it, it's just since we have the internet, it's more prominent because
branding. I mean, branding has already been around forever.
It's been always forever. Because
at least like say in the last over 100 years.
And collabs have been around forever.
I would say collaborations have become more prominent in the last 20 years
because of the internet.
Yes, there was some before back in the 90s, like I said, with like Michael Jordan and like
I want to say it's earlier.
Well, I would say even prior to that, there's you can argue like collaborations with like shoe companies like with Stan Smith and Chuck Taylor, like different
Levi's.
This dates back to like athletes collaborating with shoe brands, right? And then again with like athletes again. I feel like Michael Jordan was like the first person to do this that wasn't like a tennis or golf player to do that.
Yeah, I think
if you think about athletes like Stan Smith or like Arnold Palmer, right, they've had collaborations with big companies that date back 40 plus years now. Michael Jordan was probably the first non-solo athlete, like the first team sport athlete to do that, and then get with big brands like Nike and McDonald's. Nike was small by the time he collaborated with them, but he made them blew up basically.
Yeah.
And that became more common, and now we're seeing brands collaborate not only with other big companies but with musicians, like I said, Travis Scott, Kanye, J Balvin. Really big international, very internationally sensational artists that are part of big trends. You know, since at this point in pop culture, rap music and different subgenres of it are really popular internationally. So these artists now have a much larger authority, and I feel like a big part of that is the internet, and social media. Social media marketing is, I would say, probably 80% of marketing, if not more.
Yeah, because at this point it's spreading more word of mouth.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
word of text, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, word of mouth has been around forever. I guess social media is kind of like just an advanced version of that. Like say when an influencer, like not even someone like Travis Scott or Kanye, but say like your favorite YouTuber or Instagram influencer or TikToker, wears something or eats something and they post it, and then high schoolers and middle schoolers want to do that too. And these big corporations know this, and so they see different ways they can leverage each other rather than having like big buyouts like Disney has done. What Disney's doing or has done, I don't think that they'll continue to do this. I think they're focusing on what they own now between like Marvel and Star Wars and trying to build those out and kind of milk them right now. But in comparison to what these brands are doing, Disney is old in their strategy, and that they've been integrating other companies in the industry, basically building the modern equivalent of monopoly. I feel like Disney already is a monopoly, if not they're
on the
border, a few buys away from being a monopoly.
I think because
like the only companies that are left in their industry,
Sony
and AT&T and Viacom and NBC Universal.
Yeah, Universal.
NBC, yeah, Viacom, NBC Universal, AT&T, Time Warner, and Sony are the only brands around that are still competing with them in the film and TV industry. And the only reason why those companies are still around is because it doesn't make sense for Disney to buy any of them in their entirety. If they were to buy any of them, they would buy portions of them, since, like, for example, AT&T, fucking phone and internet provider, owns all of Time Warner Media now, right?
Yeah.
That means all of the music that they've produced in the last 80 years, all the films, their other subsidiaries like Turner Media and HBO, Cartoon Network, they own all of that now. And it's broken up into pieces, but AT&T owns it. Disney has no reason to buy AT&T because they're not going to buy a phone provider.
No, they're not.
It doesn't make sense for them to try to buy like Turner or TCM from them and try to buy the rights to like their old films, put them on Disney Plus, things like that. But that's a really old strategy to buy their companies, and I feel like Disney's pretty. I think they're starting to lose their appetite. I think they're pretty full, with how many things they own now owning Fox and all everything that comes with. I also wonder. I feel like people are still wondering where that's going to go too. What with Disney's ownership of Fox and like potential collaborations between like 20th Century Fox and Marvel Studios and things such as that. But and Lucasfilm, of course. But I feel like the whole like buying out is slowing down as collaborations and that sort of marketing technique becomes more common. I don't think it's going to be very long, but until we see, like, let's say, let's say Billie Eilish wants to collaborate with Pepsi and Yum Corporation, and she can have like a limited edition Taco Bell meal. I'm kind of just like improvising at this point, but it sounds real, right? from where we are now in terms of like this whole marketing thing.
I'm sorry. I'm just getting news about Nintendo right now.
What's that?
There's
Breaking news.
Massive protests from the Splatoon and Smash community.
What?
Nintendo kills online tournament. That's you know how people compete in person.
Yeah.
Well, due to the world that we're living in, COVID, in order to be safe, people have been trying to play online on tournaments, and Nintendo has killed it due to the fact that it's breaking quote unquote their copyright. And people were protesting it so bad that Nintendo cut off their Splatoon 2 stream early.
Hashtag free melee.
Yep.
Wow. Cancels Splatoon NA open stream after teams use hashtag free melee. Wow. That is concerning.
Yeah, the Big House is the mod community that created the online tournament system.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Nintendo canceled the live stream for Splatoon 2 North America Open event today after over 30% of the competing teams had names showing support for the Melee community. The company cited unexpected executional challenges as the reasoning for the stream's cancellation. Several players and tournament organizers directly pointed to the team's open support for the Melee community as the cause for Nintendo's decision. However, the support for the Melee community is in response to Nintendo shutting down the Big House, one of the largest yearly tournaments for Super Smash Bros. Due to organizers planning to run the Melee event using a community-developed mod that allows the game to be played online. So yeah, essentially, this big organizer wanted to host an online Melee tournament, and Nintendo went out of their way to shut it down.
They sent a cease and desist letter straight to their office.
Wow.
Saying you're shutting it down right now.
Yeah. I don't really know.
Nintendo has been very... Again, we're back to Nintendo.
It's relevant. We're talking about it.
Over the last couple years, Nintendo has been very picky on what you can do with their games.
Oh, absolutely. Nintendo is also, and I don't know about like, we see this with other Japanese companies in general, like Studio Ghibli as well.
Right.
Companies that have been around for a long time and that people have a lot of value for, especially nostalgically, like a lot of 80s and 90s kids that grew up with Nintendo and Studio Ghibli. Nintendo has been notorious for being very strict on their copyright policies.
Very.
Even with how copyright policy varies internationally, they're one that's notorious. I mean, we're talking about the company that sued Smosh for a parody video for an anime that their game is based off of.
Yeah, I believe they didn't even show anything. They were just saying the name.
Yeah.
That was for a while. That was before fair use was basically reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
Around the time, I believe, early 2012, 13.
It was around that time. This was back when Smosh was like still on top of the charts in terms of YouTube.
Smosh was shut down, basically that video got struck down. I want to say 2006, but the presence of
the video came out like in 2006.
Yeah,
it ran for a while before they got sued, like for a couple years. It probably wasn't until like 2010 that they really got sued.
2010 they remade the video, I believe. There's a second version.
Well, yeah, they had like a parody video addressing
the parody.
Yeah, and addressing the lawsuit.
No, but I was bringing
because
up,
they used the same song, but they barely mentioned Pokemon and said they talked about the whole thing about the actual lawsuit.
What I was trying to say was around 2012, 13, Nintendo implemented the YouTube Partner Program.
Yes.
Where if you wanted to show their game, you only had to show their games. You weren't allowed to Let's Play anything other else.
Yeah, and you weren't able to have other brand collaborations. So let's say if you had a sponsorship with another company, it could have been, well, this was back in 2013, 2012. So
Game Freaks.
Exactly. Yes, because I always say like there was no Raid Shadow Legends back then, but yeah, you couldn't.
No, fucking the new flat. What was it?
Basically, if you were a Nintendo Let's Player, or if you wanted to Let's Play Nintendo games back then, you had to only do Nintendo games, and you couldn't have other sponsorships. Even though Nintendo wasn't really sponsoring you, they were just letting you play their game online.
Any revenue you made, I believe, went through them, and then you got like a 10%.
Yeah. Now it's not really like that.
Because Nintendo's like, all right, we're gonna overturn it. For a while, you weren't allowed to show their cutscenes.
That too. Yeah. Yeah. And there was all kinds of like copyright striking videos being taken down, entire channels being taken down because of that back then. And that was one of the really early YouTube adpocalypses, and that was also around the time that gaming was getting really big on YouTube, around the time that Twitch was getting released too, or at least becoming more common.
Yeah, Twitch was more common because I
feel like that was part of the reason why Twitch became more common too, because streaming wasn't you couldn't even stream on YouTube at the time. So us playing on YouTube was just becoming more difficult.
All right,
at the same time was getting more popular.
All right, Old Man John's gonna say some stuff.
Oh boy.
Back in the early 2011.
Okay.
I discovered a little website called Justin.tv.
Oh my God.
I used to watch these guys play video games.
We're really showing our age now with talking about all this stuff.
And then this man is like, "Hey, did you hear about Twitch.tv? It's only meant for gaming instead of, live streams of people."
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, cool."
Or it was.
It is. And
was.
then I switched over. I'm like, "All right, cool. I like it. I follow a couple people, watch some people play Gary's Mod.
Yeah.
Good Gary's Mod 9. Oh man, role playing, sweet. Oh, we're shutting down Justin.tv. What year is it? 2014. Oh no. Cool. I'm old.
Yeah. But
I was there.
Yeah, but so this is sort of like I see this as sort of like a modern equivalent to how Nintendo reacted to Let's Players on YouTube, because this goes back to people just wanting to play their game and make it more available. To people online, when Melee is, of course, now a vintage game on the GameCube.
Because I do know most of these tournaments are all basically charity based.
Yes, typically.
So in argument in court, I'm not really a what's it called, legal literate. Basically, what they can argue is they're doing this to prevent mass gathering for COVID. And then plus it's
perhaps
they're saying they're live streaming it for a charity event, so they can get away with some stuff, but Nintendo's still gonna be in their right saying that they don't want it.
Right. Yeah, I don't really have the legal literacy to have a lot of commentary on this subject, but I personally feel like this is this is just another way of Nintendo, from their perspective, trying to protect their brand and I guess, I don't know, trying to keep the purity and value of their original games, especially since, well, no. I would just say that this is another case of of them potentially wanting to retro a game. However, I don't think Nintendo would retro an old Smash Brothers when they put out a new Smash Brothers with every new console. This is a very specific case, but I do think that this is another case similar to the issues that Let's Players had in the past. I think this is another case because this is streaming, It's just adapting a game that previously didn't have all the streaming capabilities to this level, now bringing it to that level so that way more people can enjoy it. And, I think we can agree that the streamers aren't ethically doing anything wrong. Legally, they might be in terms of the ownership, in terms of Nintendo's ownership and use rights to their games, especially since... And this is a funny thing too. It's just video games are still relatively new in terms of copyright law, because what is it? It's every copyrights change every 20 years, and public domain is achieved after 90 years, or no? It's a certain amount of years after the creator dies. That something becomes part of the public domain. However, copyright contracts can also end within after 20 years. An example of this is I'm getting sneakers involved with this again. This is just something that I'm knowledgeable in. But so Nike has one of their classic silhouettes, the Air Force One, right? It's that one shoe that everyone likes to wear in all white. And it's been around ever since the early to mid 80s, right? Basketball shoe, okay? Around the early 2000s, a Japanese company called Bathing Ape, or BAPE, wanted to make a shoe that is basically the same silhouette as the Air Force One, but slightly changes so they can have their own colorways and have their own logo on it. They were able to get away with this because the copyright for the Air Force One silhouette had expired after 20 years, right? Now, in this case, in the case of video games have only been around for relatively almost 40 years. And in the case of Super Smash Bros. Melee, the game has not been around for 20 years.
No.
So if we were to apply the same logic legally, and again, I don't have much authority on this. I don't have the most knowledge and legalities and how it varies with industries, but the fair use rights aren't
well, because
they're not. This isn't completely open source yet in terms of how old the game is.
Right.
Like if someone was to do this with the original Super Smash Brothers, which would be really difficult because it's a very small game in comparison, you technically should be able to get away with it.
Actually, no, because yes, the game could expire, quote unquote, but the characters in the game are not. They're constantly being used, meaning the copyright on them is actually refreshed. But
they're older. So here's the thing, and this is also why this is just fuzzy. This is fuzzy, let alone from like people. This is fuzzy from people like you and me, let alone actual people that have legal literacy. The video games are just new. Yeah, they're still very new to deal with. This isn't books. This isn't movies. This isn't fashion. Video games are a very new area to work within legally. In fact, there's been multiple lawsuits of games being remade or based off of similar mechanics that developers have. In some cases, developers have gone away with. In other cases, developers haven't gone away with. That if you, so obviously, in terms of copyright law, it is illegal to say take Mario and put him in a game that's not developed by Nintendo. Right. However, you can take the game mechanics of Super Mario in a game and get away with it. Right.
Yes.
That's an example of how video games vary significantly legally in their fair use, and I feel like this is in a gray area in that sense too.
There is, as soon as you said taking the Mario mechanics into another game, I immediately thought of one game. What is it? A Hat in Time.
Okay. I mean, there's multiple. It's a platformer.
Well, no, but there's
multiple
one,
games that have done that. But
this one is basically.
It's almost verbatim.
It's
Mario.
Verbatim Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
Except you're not shooting water. It's basically the jumping mechanics and platforming feels very natural.
Yeah. The gameplay experience is basically the same as Mario Sunshine, but it doesn't look the same. It's almost like it's skinned.
It has its own stuff. It
has its own aesthetics, but the game plays the same way.
It borrows a foundation.
And so they were able to get away with that.
Yeah.
And video games are just new in terms of legalities. I like how this started with talking about gaming history and just a long game, and now we've really kind of dove into all these different nuances in
gaming.
Well, not just gaming, but just business and legalities in general, and just marketing.
Yeah,
I feel like it's always I feel like that's mostly what we've talked about in this episode. Is
just a bit.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot to talk about here, and there's a lot of other ways we can sort of branch out in terms of like what we want to talk about with
anything.
With marketing and brand strategy, and also how video games have really changed that, and also how the internet has changed that significantly. And I feel like that applies a lot here, and applies to the same thing we're talking about with this case of the McDonald's game from 10 years ago.
But speaking about change, unfortunately, due to a small event that happened this week. A certain country has been affected by a big change. Puerto Rico has lost a major satellite telescope.
That's right.
The Arecibo satellite dish. No, telescope dish. Sorry.
That was I'm sorry, but that was also like just like the weirdest segue you went into a completely different topic, but I understand.
No, because I've been trying to get on this topic.
Okay.
And I've been trying to like find a way to get in.
Well, there's a lot of different things to talk about with what he's talking. In fact, I feel like we didn't even finish any of the topics we talked about so far.
Nope, and we're never gonna finish it at this rate.
I don't like this episode.
How about this? We name it. This episode does not exist.
I'm not gonna do that. We're still posting this shit.
No, it just doesn't.
No.
It's the
No.
name. We're posting it.
No, I'm not naming it that.
Fine.
In fact, I'm probably gonna name it.
This episode exists.
No, it's probably gonna be something like Chris rambles on about business and John gets mad and brings up satellite that is destroyed. No, rest in peace. Rest in peace. I'm sorry. What was it called again?
The Arecibo satellite Observatory. Sorry. This big boy is recognizable from the famous game GoldenEye 64 as the final mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Basically, it's a big boy satellite. It was built in a giant sinkhole.
Mm-hmm.
It's been operational since the late 60s.
Yeah, I hear the photos.
Yeah, no, sorry, early 60s. 2 weeks ago, they had some damage to the cables, and we're trying to repair it.
Yep.
And when they were finally getting ready to, fully do big repairs, the whole thing collapsed on itself.
Yeah. So this photo, this is an aerial view. The image of the Arecibo Observatory. This was just 5 days ago. Gut-wrenching pictures and video documented documented the beginning of the end for one of the world's most iconic telescopes. This thing was huge.
It's massive. But there is another massive one.
Oh yeah.
But this one specifically, a lot of its research helped fuel a lot of the Puerto Rico's economy as well.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a lot of research grants.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the last major upgrade they had was 2006, adding in more equipment to the center unit.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that center unit became too heavy, so they had to reinforce it with more cable. But one of the original cables have snapped, and their math was off. The scientists have said their math was off for how much strength any of it can hold.
Damn.
So they're saying the only way.
I imagine that it's just user error that something like this would happen, and
Yeah,
it's such a massive investment. Something that's it's monumental. This satellite has been around for a minute, and it's put in a lot of work in its time.
A lot of work.
It's the National Science Foundation's observatory. Studied asteroids, and
it's helped document a lot of the universe.
Yeah.
It killed Sean Bean.
Yeah.
Twice.
And 900-ton platform that hung above the radio dish fell 450 feet into the structure below around 8 a.m. local time, causing massive damage documented.
The first cable broke, it did damage to the dish already.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was repairable. Now, since the whole unit fell, it's irreparable.
Yeah. Here we have a quote from the chief of telescope operations and worker at the Arecibo. For 4 decades, Angel Vasquez. We heard a loud sound and a loud bang outside the control room. We started to see the eventual downfall of the shit. Can you imagine like actually being working? Imagine going to work and just seeing this collapse. Here we have a video on here. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me see if I can get it higher resolution. So that's what it looked like before the collapse, of course. the
Yeah.
yeah.
I never showed you the full video.
Yeah.
Originally, the only way they could fix it is to have people on that platform.
Yeah. So it was a cabling. I mean, it's 900 tons of the platform. So I guess a cabling just gave out of the weight after all these years.
Yeah, like I said, the math was off. So
Yeah.
they said the only way they could fix it is to get on the platform and tighten everything by hand.
I see. That would have been a massive, both in labor and in expenses to go about these repairs before this would have happened.
And it's stupid. They said it was stupidly dangerous to even attempt
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
So they're trying to figure a way to how to decommission it easily.
Right.
But it did it on its own.
Yeah.
From there, yeah. Right now they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do with it.
Right. I mean, that is a massive. Well, for one, this is a monumental piece of scientific history and research.
Yeah.
That is now gone, and I mean, this is also another, I guess, tragedy of a classic structure this year. Well, remember what 6-8 months ago, Notre Dame burned.
What wasn't that?
That was this year.
That was this year.
I'm almost positive Notre Dame burned down.
I swear it was
2019.
2019.
2020 has been a long year, mate. Notre Dame Cathedral.
I think it.
Oh, there was a Christmas concert held 3 days ago.
When was it?
In the burned down cathedral.
When did it burn down? I swear.
Yeah, permanently closed.
Yeah, sorry guys.
I got to find it, but I'm almost positive that this happened just earlier this year.
Notre Dame fire. Here we go. April 2019.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. I was trying to make a connection there and just talk about how shitty of a year 2020 has been, but nonetheless, yeah, it's a shame, and I mean I guess they were going to go about decommissioning it anyway in the first place.
Well, in order to get it back up to like standard.
Right. Ideally, they would have gone about still having a future to use this observatory. Now we don't really know. It would have already been significantly expensive to go about repairing it, and now it would be even more. So we don't really know what the future holds for it.
Because I don't know if you've been to Puerto Rico or like any of the islands.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful at night because it's clear skies.
Oh, that was one of the best parts about it is it was in an area of such low light pollution.
Oh my god!
With it being it was in a sinkhole among the mountains of rural Puerto Rico.
It's insanely
yeah.
You can see
if you actually look at, I mean, you can see from this image here, but always pull up images of where it was. Okay, I don't know what. Hold on. I'm trying to just pull up images of the actual. I know Arecido. So. I mean, I'm sure there's other potential locations to have. Well, it's also just that this is a really tough time in terms of space exploration and research, historically anyway, with NASA having such significantly low funding, relatively speaking, and now this, and considering historically less significant support for national scientific research.
It's
This really begs a lot of questions in terms of well, the future for this location specifically, but also just adds more to already begging questions of the future of space exploration and the research concerning it. I mean, of course, we have SpaceX, but that's a whole other, whole other organization and whole other just beast of intentions in terms of scientific, in terms of space exploration and research. Right?
I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but yeah.
I'm talking about SpaceX. We've mentioned them before on the show.
Not SpaceX. I was gonna bring up the water on the moon.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've brought up like a few different I'm at a loss for words suddenly, but like
celestial events.
Sure, yeah. We've kept up with that historically with the show, as news has come along.
Yeah, you want to talk about freaky shit? Yeah, this month is gonna be full of that BS.
Yeah.
Asteroid showers. We're supposed to be landing on another comet soon.
Potentially, yeah. There's been news about that as well.
What else? Asteroid shower.
Yeah. We are short on time though.
We are.
This is a number of unconcluded conversations.
Hopefully next week we can fix it.
Hopefully we can touch back on a lot of this next week. Let us know in the comments what you guys want us to focus more on, what we want to talk about, whether it be space exploration and research, video game industry history and theories, and just commentary in general on the entertainment industry and where we're going, as well as in technology. With that, we got to close. We have a few words from our sponsors, of course. Firstly, of course, we have FNX and all our pals over there. You know, keeping the lights on, helping the swole get on.
They get me up, out, and running at the gym.
They get you up. Okay. Anyway, if I'm sorry. That's probably not a message that the FNX wants. But if you are someone who is concerned with your health, if you are someone who is concerned with fitness culture and you want quality activewear and supplements, definitely check out fnxfit.com and check out their selection of supplements. They have all kinds of choices in terms of pre-workout, protein, as well as CBD, and the list goes on, as well as just really the highest quality that John and I have had on the market. I mean, definitely check them out. I personally highly recommend their Recharge Plus pre-workout. Great serving in terms of the caffeine and beta-alanine if you're trying to get a good pump, as well as they have different selections depending on your goals and your sex. If they have specialized supplements for both men and women. Definitely check that stuff out. Otherwise, this episode is also sponsored by, you got a message, John?
I actually do. It's actually sponsored by the Phantastic store.
That's right. It's sponsored by you. Check us out. And we just dropped our winter collection just about about a week ago on Black Friday. And
I mean, if you want a nice, stylish champion hoodie,
that's right.
I've heard it's really soft.
They're thick boys. They're so soft.
Or if you're like me who wants an actual T-shirt, you can also get a champion T-shirt.
That's right.
You ever feel like wearing a baseball jersey? Because you know what? I feel like I want to play baseball all the time in your shirt.
We have baseball tees. But yes, our winter collection is all printed on Champion. Our hoodies, sweatshirts, and T-shirts are their high quality wool knit. Definitely check that stuff out, as well as considering that our logo is officially embroidered on Champion. Definitely check that out in the store, or check out our Patreon if you are one of our highest tier patrons. You can actually qualify for free merch with every season, so definitely check that out, as well as you get access to exclusive behind the scenes content for Phantastic Productions on the Patreon. So
Or
Sponsored by you. Check us out.
Or if you just want to see me torture Chris, yeah, pay.
That's not exclusive content. In fact, that's just
Content.
That's just our content. Anyway, y'all have a good one, and be sure to have a fantastic day.
See ya.